Hello and welcome to Boomer Live once again. And here we are to preview Pakistan versus Netherlands. Pakistan start off their World Cup campaign taking on the Dutchmen, and there's no better way for them to start this off by looking at possibilities of trying out a combination and also looking at what the team is going to be. On one hand, you have Babar Azam, who's been looking in good form in the warm up matches. Both the games he went on to score 50s, and then on the other hand, you have the Netherlands team who did come into India very earlier on this time to start off their preparatory camp. And this is a good opportunity for both these sides, especially for Pakistan to start off their campaign. It's always important for them to get going. There's a big tournament which awaits them because they have to start playing well in order to get that momentum going in their favor as well. I've Jaren with me. Jaren, how big a factor is this going to be? Now, if you just look at the way in which how these two teams are going to line up, and to add to the very fact that Pakistan will be playing a major game here because they want to get off to a good start. If you look at over the years, Pakistan have been the slow starters, you can say so. Then they pick it up some stage in the tournament. But here is an opportunity for them to really kickstart from the very word go.
Yeah, I mean, last time around as well, you saw them really struggling as well in the start. The last year's World Cup, this was the first time, 2019 was the last time, first time they ever had this format where you were facing every team in a round robin, and they did have a very slow start. But as you rightly mentioned, Netherlands is probably a very good opportunity for them to get off to a good start, and especially you don't want to get behind. I mean, get lost behind with the kind of performance that you saw someone like Pakistan come up with, I mean, New Zealand come up with yesterday, because they're off to a good start, and you have to be in the top four, and the net run rate is so important. And it would be that kind of a game that Pakistan will be hoping, where they come up with a huge win to ensure that they have a net run rate which is, if not as close, but very close to what New Zealand have already come up with.
Because yeah, I agree on this totally because of what you have seen. Because especially with Pakistan over the years, there's a major issue with how they go about it. But now, if you look at this team, from what we've seen in the warm up, they look like a team who can go out there and maybe pull up some big results as well on the given day. Because they've got the batting powerhouse, you believe so, in this World Cup. Because they've got a little bit more dynamism with some of the young players coming in. If I have to take few names, I have to really look into a player like Saud Shakil for that matter. The way in which how he might possibly start. He did a very good job against New Zealand. And then if you talk about the openers, right, that's where the biggest issue lies for them. Imam and Fakar, there is no certainty. Before the Asia Cup, at least you had a certainty as to these two players are going to open the batting. But post the Asia Cup and leading into this particular game, there's no certainty as to who is going to open the batting. On one end, you have an Imamul Haq who has not really been consistent. He's shown patches, but not really a match winner. On the other end, you have a highly volatile Fakar Zaman. On certain days, you can say Fakar Zaman really going out there and blazing away, playing a match winning innings. And on the other day, he might get out very cheaply. So that's a big risk which they have to bear at this point as well. They lost the two warm-up games. Both of these occasions, the top order failed miserably, you can say so. Abdullah Shafiq, you can say he's a good test player, but is unable to convert that into the white ball format as well. So you reckon now the biggest question for Pakistan is going to be the top order and the over reliance on Babar Azam and Rizwan leading into this game?
Yeah, I think the major issue for them also has been the opening, as you rightly mentioned. Fakhar Zaman has slightly, I mean, you know how we say that, many a times good players are sometimes found out, and it just seems like that's what's been happening to him for a while now. Considering the fact that, I think ballers have found one weakness of his, which is if you pitch the ball up slightly, and it's not overcooked delivery as such, but between good length, full length delivery, you see him sometimes being unable to commit himself either on the front foot or on the back foot. And then he ends up, just playing a shot which is where he's nowhere near the ball, and just pushing his hands at the ball, creating those edges, or maybe just pushing the ball up in the air towards this, towards the cover region, and getting caught there. So that's been his major issue. He's really good if you pitch the ball a little short, give him that width. He's really good when it comes to square of the wicket. But the moment you have to make him play towards the cover region, he tends to struggle. And Imam as well. I think he's been getting stuck a little bit once again on his not his front foot exactly, but I think the issue with Imam has been he's getting stuck a little bit on the front foot. So I mean, on the back foot rather. If you push the ball a little back of the length and make him drive off the back foot or make him play off the back foot near that off stump area, again you see a lot of edges coming through. You see him really getting bogged down, really not being able to score runs. Abdullah Shafiq, I would say, is still been a good, I mean, player for Pakistan because he's still getting starts. It's not, I know he's not converted it yet, but he's still early in his one-day career. I mean, it's not that easy to break through into this opening pair. Where especially someone like Fakar, who's been doing so well for Pakistan over the years. He's the only Pakistani who's ever scored a double hundred in the one-day format as well. So it's been a recent addition, that is Abdullah Shafiq. But now the question really is, the major issue for them really is if their opening pair fails, then there's a lot of pressure on someone like Babar Azam to be that player to help Pakistan survive till the 30th over. It's the same thing as we spoke about them in the T20 World Cup as well, where if they don't survive till the 10 overs, that's what it was with Pakistan. If they don't lose a lot of, if they lose 3 to 4 wickets by the end of the 10th over, then they really can't get going because Pakistan team believes in building a platform for themselves. Believes in settling till the 20th over without losing 30th over without losing too many wickets and then going ahead from there. So for that to come into place, they need to ensure they don't lose early wickets. They saw that against New Zealand as well, right? When they didn't lose a lot of wickets, you see when you saw their batting build and do a good job. But the moment they lose a lot of wickets, that's when they really struggle, and they don't really seem to have the middle order to play 30 overs. They seem to have a very good middle order when they have only 20 or 15 overs to play. The moment they have to play more than that, they struggle.
Yeah, I agree with you on that as well. But now, if you look at some of the comments, we'll just take it up. Can Netherlands cause an upset? So that's the biggest question everybody's asking on social media. Can Netherlands cause an upset against Pakistan? And if you look at Pakistan's trajectory, they often tend to go on to lose against teams like Netherlands or Zimbabwe earlier on an island, earlier on in the tournament, which is possibly a wake up call for them, and then possibly they kick start. So that is where you really feel like Pakistan, they're very vulnerable starting off a tournament, and that is where you can a team like Netherlands can capitalize. But I still think, now talking about Netherlands, I think the batting might not be there and thereabouts. I know they've got a phenomenal squad to start off with, but they don't have a batting team to go out there and maybe challenge a Pakistan team, you say. For example, you talk about Pakistan of the past. If you talk about the likes of Bas Dalid or likes of Tejas, or for example Max Odord, these guys can do it. But the fact of the matter is, can they do it against a quality bowling attack? Now that's where we go back to the factor of how Netherlands might really compact this Pakistan team. Let's talk about this Netherlands team, right? Came to India like 3 weeks ago, had a long camp in Bangalore. From there on, hiring some net ballers, local Indian ballers. Went on to play a couple of practice games against Karnataka before they went on to the World Cup warms. Both their warm games got washed out. They looked very horrible with the bat against Australia, but did really well. Against India, we couldn't get to see them. And they haven't played a lot of cricket leading into this World Cup as well. For them, if they're getting a flat pitch, how important it is going to be for them to really maybe post a score on the board, then maybe defend it later on, which is quite a possibility. They can maybe look on to do that, maybe score a 250, 260, 270. But I don't think that's par. That's not good enough in this wicket. But still, maybe post a challenge. I don't know if they might even win this or not. The fact of the matter is, post a challenge is the most important thing.
Yeah, when it comes to Netherlands, even their biggest strength has to be the new ball bowling because surprisingly enough, if you really see the era of those medium pacers, who would swing the ball early on in the innings, is really gone away from cricket. We had a lot of these kind of bowlers, right? We had Scott Stires, we had Stuart Binney probably towards the end of that era, who would be able to swing the ball, get some wickets early on in the play or in the middle overs, at least when the ball is a little new. But now that era is completely gone. But even then, if there's one team that is really keeping that era up, it has to be Netherlands. And if you look at some of their bowlers like Logan Van Beek or Bastelide, these are the kind of bowlers who can get those early wickets, who get those early wickets in the power play. We saw that against Australia, I think there was a very good example what we saw where these bowlers were able to swing the ball, and that is going to be the biggest strength. If these two lads can get the ball to swing, especially if Pakistan decides to chase, or if they are chasing, then that could be a very good thing for them, or that could come into their that could come into their strength. When it comes to the batting, that's where a bit of worry is, right? Because one day cricket, you need your batters to bat a little longer. Now we've had like someone like Bastolide is done really well. He's had a very good 2023 so far, and he's looking really good. And so has Van de Beek when it comes to the strike rate. But the major issue for them is their averages. Their averages, if you really look, not a lot of people above that 30 mark average. I think you've got Vikramjit Singh, Max O'Dowd, and Van Beek and the leader who are playing in that era. Even the wicketkeeper Edwards. So these are the guys who are looking good. But other than that, if you really look, their batting fails to really impress, and that is going to be the major issue. I think one of the bigger issues for them is going to be Cooper, who's not looked that great. He's someone who's got the talent. He's definitely someone who can bat really well. We've seen the best of him before, but I don't know if he is someone who's going to do well. I mean, he's someone who's done well. I think he's not even in the squad if I'm not wrong. So that's where this team has gone through a lot of changes since the World Cup, and the batting is the one place where I am a little worried about. I think you're on mute.
Uh, Thoughts on Shubman being ruled out of the World Cup? Shubman is not ruled out of the World Cup. Shubman is ruled out of the first two matches. What I'm saying, he's tested positive for dengue fever, and we don't know how long it's going to take for him to recover. So first two matches, definitely Shubman might not play. The match against Australia, then the match against Afghanistan. So he might be put for rest somewhere. Maybe he might be sent to Ahmedabad to prepare for the Pakistan game. Maybe rest there and recover well, then get back. So that's what I'm expecting at this point. Yeah, definitely he's not playing the Australia game for sure at this point. I mean, a couple of days time, maybe let's say if the Afghanistan game was 5 days away, maybe he can be fit for that. But dengue is a long fever, so could be a week, 10 days, maybe Pakistan game as well. But it's a big blow for India for sure to start off the World Cup. So that is the news which we have. If Shaheen and Hassan Ali don't pick up wickets, they'll struggle to pick up wickets in the middle. I mean, that's been the issue with Pakistan, right? You have Usama Mir who showed glimpses of what he can possibly do, but very inexperienced. Shadab Khan all over the place. Nawaz not there thereabouts. I think the Pakistan's biggest issue going into this World Cup is surprisingly their bowling over their batting. That is a funny thing to Pakistan. That's something which we don't talk about, but going away from their strength might be the biggest cause of their downfall as well, isn't it?
That's also because the kind of pitches they've gotten, right? It's not exactly flat. I mean, they are very flat tracks, you would say, and especially towards the end overs, right? We saw that when they played Netherlands, we saw that when they played Pakistan as well. It's towards the end overs where bowlers slightly start getting a little better, especially in the first half of the game, first innings, that is, because the ball gets older, it starts gripping in the surface. But even there, if you really see, that's not Pakistan's strength. Spin has not been their strength for a while. You spoke about Usma Mir. His biggest issue again has been his. I mean, the biggest issue obviously is their spin attack at this point in time. The fast bowlers, I know Harris Ruff has not had a great couple of warm up games. He's traveled for runs, but when I mean, it also felt like Pakistan did not have the intensity during warm up games. It just felt like they treated it as warm up games, probably as warm up sessions before the nets. I mean, before the match, not really as warm up matches as well, because there was not much intensity there. And I can totally understand that they've also had a long calendar as well of matches. They've played a lot of high intense cricket, and it's okay to take a couple of warm up games lightly. I know their fans were not happy about it, but now come the World Cup, you want them to get turned on their form. But if you really look at the bowling average in this year, the best bowler has been Naseem Shah, even compared to someone like Shaheen Shah Afridi. Naseem Shah was the only one who had an average below 20, had an economy below 5. He was just incredible. But even then, if you remove him because he's off the squad now, Shaheen Shah Afridi has also done well. but he's traveled for runs, and we saw that in the Asia Cup as well. So what happens when batters come after Shaheen Shah Afridi is once again a question: can he really maintain that that killer instinct? But other than these three fast bowlers, the major issue has been the ones who come after them. If you can survive their burst, and which you can, it's a one day format. You can really survive their burst. If you can score 5 runs or four to 5 runs on their bowling, and then go after the likes of Shadab Khan, Usman Mir, Mohammad Wasim, who's definitely going to probably be one of those players who will get the chance. Probably get the chance over and Hassan Ali, because I mean, it's really difficult to choose between the two of them when it comes to batting or their bowling. It's been that kind of a comparison. But major issue is Mohammad Nawaz and Shadab Khan. Now, Mohammad Nawaz, I was a bit impressed with the way he bowled against New Zealand. He seemed to be the one who's still able to maintain a little bit more, when it comes to his economy rate. But then his bowling average is still a worry. They're all about 30, and in the later half of 30 as well. It's okay if a spinner is still bowling and an average before 30, but then you need another spinner who's still able to maintain 25 to 30, and that's the major issue. If both the spinners are not picking up wickets, then the middle overs becomes a lot more easier. And it's not going to be like these batters are not just going to sit there and rotate, strike, and wait for Shaheen and Harris. Especially now, given the fact that they have to face Shaheen and Harris towards the death, they're going to come that much more harder at the spinners. So wickets in the middle overs is a major concern for Pakistan.
Yeah, I mean, if you talk about Pakistan's biggest issue this leading into this World Cup, I mean, even Asia Cup has been that. But I think for them, the positive side of things is going to be how Shaheen might be a decisive factor in this World Cup. If he can break top orders single handedly, I mean, you can say most of the top orders he broke was in the first over without a bowling partner in itself. So you can't really say with Naseem Shaheen tends to do better and Shaheen is pretty bad without Naseem. I think that's a judgment we still cannot make. Maybe through the course of this World Cup and with more matches and more data points we have on that particular job what Shaheen does without Naseem, then maybe we'll be able to say, okay, Shaheen is better off with Naseem, and without Naseem, it tends to waver off a little bit. But the pressure is definitely going to be there because now without Naseem, the importance of picking up wickets up front is going to shift to Hassan Ali or a Mohammad Wasim Jr., who's going to make the level. And I think it's going to be Hassan Ali because he can still swing the ball a little bit. With Mohammad Wasim Jr., he tends to be very straighter with his lines and he doesn't get anything off the wicket as well until unless you are putting him in death overs or defensive overs where he really has to go out there and put ball slower balls or Yorkers, which I think he does a good job. But other than that, picking up wickets in the 50 over longer format, you have to pick up wickets. Mohammad Wasim did a phenomenal job in Australia in the T20 World Cup, primarily because of that defensive role which he had, which was to come and ball in the death overs and to ball just 4 overs where he could mix up his lengths. I think the biggest issue with the Pakistan team has been the overplaying of the T20 format. If you look at all their bowlers' lines, let it be Harris Rauf or let it be Shaheen Afridi or let it be Nawaz or Shadab, their lines and lengths are so defensive, which is T20 format like, which is to go short very quickly and to ball full very quickly and not persisting with a particular line or length. And that's been the biggest issue for them. And I think if they can correct that and get back to more test match lines, which Shaheen is very capable of, we've seen some really good spells from Shaheen in the smaller test career he's had. And I think he's got the ability to do that. So if you give him that opportunity in this World Cup, and he's one bowler who can really go out there and deliver the goods. Picking up wickets with the new ball in the middle overs and in the death because of that all-round skill set he's got. He's an all-format player. But with Harris and maybe with Wasim Jr. or even Hassan Ali. With Hassan Ali, there's a baggage of burden at this point leading into this World Cup. Yeah, he's a point to prove. With Wasim Jr., a proper T20 bowler. Harris Rauf, a proper T20 bowler. Shadab wavered. I think that is the biggest issue for Pakistan at this point. Should South Shakil should play, but Pakistan won't play him. And okay, that's interesting. We'll see that in 10 minutes' time. Pakistan will be tested today. A team of equal pedestrian. Okay, I think we are taking Pakistan way too lightly at this point. Will Depay or De Jong will is Depay or De Jong playing? Okay, they're not playing. They're not playing. Definitely, they're not playing. It's a cricket team. You wish they played. I think the football team is a much well-rounded one, which might be led by Louis Van Gaal. But yeah, you might see Comrade Avovo from Mr. Babar Azam himself, the GOAT. Babar Azam himself might be coming out there and putting his ears all across and doing that celebration today against mighty Dutch. And he's going to be in full-fledged form tonight. I think you don't mess with Babar Azam. He's going to really come out and say, Come bravo, come bravo. So be careful. Be careful. He's good in Dutch. If he's not good in English, he's good in Spanish and Dutch, is what I'm hearing. He's a good. He's very fluent in those languages. But let's move on from there on. We'll talk about what the Dutch team has to offer, as you mentioned about the Dutch team. What are the possibilities of Dutch team pulling off an upset here? I mean, we often tend to write these smaller teams off in these games, but there are chances. It's a 50-over game. I understand the chance of causing an upset becomes even more minimal as the game progresses bigger. But how much do you give a chance to a Dutch team in a tournament like this? Because the games in Netherlands, there were a couple of games where Pakistan played Netherlands in Netherlands, and they came very close to it. Can they do anything close to what they did in Netherlands?
Just taking that comment from Priyanka as well, I think Virgil van Dijk will definitely make a very good fast bowler if he decides to ever switch career. But having said that, you remember how Shadab called Babar a comparison between, a combination of Ronaldo and Messi. So yeah, won't be surprised if that celebration comes out anytime. But
He's a
just moving on, yeah,
combination.
I think,
He's the
yeah,
greatest
he
of
called
all
him a
time.
combination.
Let's just put it
Yeah,
up there. He's the greatest player to have played the game of sport, as one of our South Asian legends would say, who says proud moment for South Asia every now and then. He says that Messi and Ronaldo takes inspiration from Babar and himself. So yeah, makes sense. Makes sense.
But yeah, just talking about the Netherlands team, right? I think, to be very frank, I still rate Pakistan as one of the favorites. I know a lot of people have kind of reduced, the people who give them that tag have kind of reduced, but I mean, don't take this team lightly because that's their mercurial nature. It's something that you've seen over the years, where you write off a Pakistan team and that's when they're the strongest. And I know a lot of people, there are still a lot of noises when it comes to Pakistan winning the World Cup, and those guys are not, not far off because they're a good team. But having said that, if Netherlands has to beat Pakistan, then the only way for that is for Pakistan to be caught napping, for Pakistan to not take them seriously. Because Netherlands is still one of those teams. If you give them space, they can really they can really bog you down. They can really put pressure on you. If you have any doubts on that, ask the other green. The other team that dons green, South Africa, when they slept on Netherlands and the threat that Netherlands had, and Netherlands knocked them out of the World Cup, the T20 World Cup. That is now one day format. They aren't as strong, I would say, because they've got players who are impact players, but then again, when they have to play the longer format or the longer game, they do tend to struggle. Shaheen will definitely take a lot of inspiration from what Mitch Stark did against Netherlands in with the new ball. The major worry has to be, the major worry that they have, Pakistan, from this Netherlands, from the Dutch team, is the fact that Pakistan's openers are not really in form, and on the other hand, Netherlands opening pair, opening bowling is really good. They can surprise. They've got wobble ball, they've got in swing, they've got outswing as well. If they can negate that, and that's why if Pakistan is batting first, they'll feel a little bit more comfortable. But even then, we saw what Matt Henry did yesterday, right? If you ball good lengths with that new ball, you can still produce results. So it's going to be interesting how that power play goes on for Pakistan. If the power play goes well, then I think Pakistan will be on top from there on.
Yeah, absolutely. There's this thing which you resonate with Pakistan is the start that they get and the emotions they carry. If they can really control their emotions, if they can be on top of the game, like the Pakistan of the old or the Pakistan we all know, which is to be on high and set that momentum. If they can get the momentum, Pakistan pounds on momentum. That's one team you can say that they are a team which runs thoroughly in momentum historically, and even now, if that team can get the right momentum to start off with, then they can be quite unstoppable in a tournament like World Cup, because from there on they will really thrive on those performances that climb by climb, and they've got the performers to do it. Now we spoke about Babar Azam, we spoke about Rizwan. and come down the order there with Iftikhar. And if Shadab starts bowling well, because it's about peaking at the right time. Okay, fine, Shadab did not bowl well leading into this World Cup, but if he can start bowling well in the middle of the World Cup, I think there's nothing like it. Or for that matter, if someone like Hassan Ali starts picking up wickets, if we can show glimpses of what he did in 2017 with this Pakistan team in the Champions Trophy, then that's going to really set this Pakistan team up in a very good stead leading into that, leading into the later half of the tournament and leading into that India game as well. I think Sri Lanka can topple Pakistan. Well, the next game is against Sri Lanka for Pakistan in Hyderabad as well. Very interesting game. But for that matter, we need to see how both these teams play in the next 2 days. Today, Pakistan, tomorrow, Sri Lanka playing on South Africa. If both these teams get off to good starts, then I think it's going to be a mouth-watering contest come the game on 8th of October. Not 8th, sorry. I think it's on 9th of October for that matter. But having said all of those things, I now think Netherlands could be in with certain surprises through the course of the World Cup. And I don't know if they're going to defeat a major opponent or they're going to defeat one of those smaller teams. But yeah, I think what will be a good World Cup for them is a 4-win World Cup or a 3-win World Cup. Will be a massively amazing World Cup for them. I'm expecting anything of that sort, and that's going to really help them to go in confidence as well, prepare for the T20 World Cup next year, or to prepare for the 2027 World Cup. I think this is a group of players who have done exceedingly well. I mean, there's no doubt about Bas the leader, or you could, Logan McVickren, or when you talk about Max Dodd, these lads have done well in patches in different parts of the world in World Cup qualifiers and things like that. I mean, just talk about the game which they played in Zimbabwe against West Indies, chasing 374. I mean, that's what they can do. On a good day, they can do that. So let's not discount Netherlands totally because West Indies were in bad bowling attack, isn't it? You reckon, Jaren, surprises can be pulled out by this Netherlands team through the course of this tournament?
Well, yeah, definitely. If you see that if you see someone like if you see a team like Netherlands, right? What they have got is they've got the spirit. They want to win every game. They never consider their tag of associate nations or the underdogs to be something that really reduces their spirit or really reduces their chance of winning. When they go out on the field, they go out there to win, and we've seen some really good performances from them. You're right in mentioning that West Indies game, because in the West Indies game you saw them come back twice. I think when they were bowling, West Indies looked like they were going to get ahead of the game. They brought West Indies back, and when they were chasing, it almost seemed like the game was over for them. Where once again, I think it was Bas who came in, or was it Logan Man Week? I can't exactly seem to. I think it was Bas who
Baz
came in,
Lily.
who came in and who played that last over. Before that, he went after someone like Jason Holder, who's definitely not a bad bowler. He's an IPL bowler for God's sake. But even then, it didn't matter to them. For them, the reputation doesn't matter. What matters for them is that on the day, on how they perform, and that's a team. I heard. I think I overheard rather, when the camera mic had kind of caught Scott Edwards' pep talk when they were going on to bat against. I think not bat against them, but they were going on to ball against the likes of Australia after the rain had marred the game and the game was just starting. It was a truncated game of 23 overs. And I remember what he just said. I mean, all he said was, okay, lads, we're going to be hit for a 4 or a 6. Sometimes a good delivery is going to get hit for a 6 or a 4. But just make sure you come back the next delivery with the same motivation, the same passion and ball, and things might go away. And that's the way they are. They don't, there's no baggage for them. They don't, like, a good cricketer, someone who's done really well in his career, there's a tendency that he'll think, okay, I got hit for a 6 now. I shouldn't be getting hit for the 6 the next delivery. But these lads, they'll come back and ball the next delivery without worrying about what's happened in the previous 200 or 150. That's the spirit that they have, and that's the reason why this team is not easily bogged down. They don't really mind getting hit for a few boundaries here or there or losing a few wickets. They'll still come out there believing that they can do it, and that's a very dangerous team to go against, because if you discount them, there are days that they might just outplay you.
True, and one thing which we can get from this team is passionate fielding. That's one thing which ticks all the boxes. You saw that in the warm games as well. In a slightly sluggish outfield in Trivandrum, you saw both these, all these players driving around, taking some phenomenal catches. You saw it in the T20 World Cup as well in that game against South Africa, going back in time. And then one thing is Rolof van der Merwe. experience of Willow van der Moa is going to be massive in this World Cup for the Netherlands team. He's a leader among men, and he's had some really good success playing for South Africa, playing for Netherlands, playing counties. I think his experience is going to be vital, and in conditions, if it's going to turn, if Rudolf Mandelmove is going to get something out of the wicket, I think he's going to trouble a lot of big players as well. So that's why you don't discount this team for that matter. And at the end of the day, it's about how you can execute on given moments. Indian Asian Games final, yes, India are in Asian Games final. Thumping win against Bangladesh, 9 overs, chasing down 97. Massive 50s for Tilak Verma, a big one because he had a string of low scores leading into that game. So for him to come and do that, proud of him. That's something which you can expect from this young team. They play baggage for cricket. I know Yashasvi got out for a duck after that 100, but yeah, once again, Ruturaj played a supporting role as well. And when it comes to bowling, Sai Kishore has been mightily impressive. 4 overs, 12 runs, 3 wickets. Washington Sundar, 4 overs, 15 runs, 2 wickets. So the Tamil Nadu duo, who has been winning trophies, so Tamil Nadu has been, translating that into the Indian team, though it's in Asian Games, at the end of the day, all these are part of the India stats, or it goes into international tally for you. So doesn't matter. So happy to see the way how Sai Kishore has performed. I think he's been very unlucky not to get a name for Gujarat. I think he's been very unlucky. He's gotten a couple of games here and there. I think he's way too good a bowler to sit out on the bench. For me, he maybe gets chance ahead of someone like an Akshar Patel at times as well. The test in some of the limited overs games, because that's a potential he's got. Final thoughts on the Asian Games team before we close this live down.
I mean, yeah, so far they haven't really encountered the kind of opposition, you would, because this is a very good Indian team. I mean, this is the team we would actually pull out in an international. I mean, I know Asian Games are considered part of the international game, but you know what I'm trying to say. This is a team which we can pull out against some of the squads in the World Cup right now. And they might challenge them, or they might even go ahead and win a few matches here and there, because this is a team full of talent, and we've already seen some of the performances. Now, obviously, if you look at the Bangladesh side of things as well, you don't really see a lot of those players who have had international experience as well. So I think it'll be interesting to see how they go against. I think Pakistan or Afghanistan are the two teams in the second semi-final, which is yet to be decided. But yeah, so far, good news for India is what I would say, from the future perspective as well, because we've had some good performances. You already mentioned almost all the names. Still excited. I mean, unfortunately for the likes of Jitesh Sharma, it hasn't really come to an opportunity where he gets to bat, or he gets to bat for long, because that's how good the Indian bowling has been. And it was just going over the Indian bowling attack. And I mean, some of the IPL teams would be jealous to have these stars in their lineup as well. So, and yeah, you rightly mentioned about Sai Kishore as well. I genuinely think he's a very good bowler. He's again been unfortunate that he was picked up by CSK, because for some reason, or for a reason that
So
is pretty
he's
much well
playing for
known,
Gujarat Titans
CSK.
now.
No. I mean, earlier on he was picked up by
Yeah,
CSK, and then obviously, so when he was doing so well for Tamil Nadu as well, he never got an opportunity in CSK, and then when he got picked up for Gujarat, I thought he might become a pair with Rashid as well, but I would say that on many days I am surprised that he isn't, because whenever he's got an
yeah.
opportunity, he's done extremely well for them. And I still think maybe this Asian Games will allow him to play a lot more in IPL, and then from there on for the Indian team.
True. I mean, could be a stepping stone, because the World Cup is next year in West Indies, and he could be definitely one of the starters if he continues his good performance. But having said that, Netherlands have won the toss and they're going to be bowling first against Pakistan. Because I certainly think not a better pitch to ball first. Looks very flat, and Netherlands will back themselves. With that history of chasing on 374, they'll really back themselves. If they feel that if they don't lose wickets in the power play, they might just be in with some fireworks towards that run. I hope they don't struggle against Shaheen like they did against Mitchell Stark, giving away their wickets. But if they tend to play Shaheen well and tend to play Hassan well, I think they're in a better shape. With no Naseem Shah, and if they play Harris as well, the pace of Harris, I don't think that should really bother them. But it's going to be Shaheen. You know what you're going to get from Shaheen is the same as what you got from Mitchell Stark. Full length, swinging balls in. They can do that. It's going to be great. And for Pakistan and Babar, they will be very excited because batting first, some time to score runs and score big runs and put it up on the World Cup stats. So it's not a bad opportunity for Pakistan to score big today and send out a statement saying that, yeah, we are here to win the World Cup. So not a bad opportunity for both the teams. Here we are ending the live, and before we end the live, do not forget to check out our fantasy feature. So here is the fantasy segment for the day to check out the playing 11. And do remember, you can play absolute premium contest by winning a lot of prizes. Check out our shop for that, enter the premium contest and win a lot of prizes. And to add to all this, you can check the predictor feature as well. So here is a fantasy 11 for the day. Yes, as you saw right now, it's a fantasy feature which you can try. There's a fantasy 11. You can check Babar Azam, put him on the 11, and you can have a good time as well. Shaheen Afridi there, and some big names as well. You can check, Bas Dalide, who might be offering you with both bat and ball. So, not a bad fantasy team. Check it out. So, before we end the live, once again, check out our predictor feature and premium contest with Boomer 11, because this is your opportunity to get on board with Boomer 11 and have a phenomenal time playing on this World Cup. Have a good time, all of you. See you all very, very, very soon. Take care and bye bye.